Well, Nadia, I really appreciate you being on this call with me. It's been great to learn from you, and I wanted to ask this question for all of the people that went to the Sports Incubator Fest or have been helped with Ron Roberts in his network. And I wanted to ask you today, how did your expectations of your sports career compare to what the reality of the job industry was like? Because I know you had to chase your self-interest and maybe not be loyal to a team forever or a certain commission forever. But how do you think, like as a college student, your hopes for getting into the career compared with what it was actually like? Because there's a lot of hopeful sports industry students like myself that would love to hear what your experience was like.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, look, there really isn't an industry that's more hyped than sports, right? Like people love sports, they're like, oh, it's so shiny. It's just like entertainment. You're like, oh, it's shiny, it's great, blah, blah, this and that. And the truth of the matter is, it is that awesome. Okay. But it is. It's an awesome industry to be in, right? Like we wouldn't be doing this, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't. And if you are someone who loves and lives and breathes sports, there is nothing better than to like wake up every day and not have your job be like a list of tasks where you're just like, oh, I got to fill out that report, fill in that data for these numbers that I have to crunch and this and that. You might have to do that, but if at the end of the day those numbers are for the Super Bowl or for a cool new brand or a sales partnership that you're putting together for MLB All Star Game, right? I think that's kind of what ties a lot of sports professionals into why we do this and why we are here and why I mean, just realistically being transparent, this is an industry with a lot of highs and lows, right? I'm a woman of color. I don't think that's lost on most people where it may or may not be tougher in certain fields to get super far, to kind of have your due and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm still in this industry and I'm still here. Just because it's worth it, really. It really was worth it. I remember when I graduated college, had my first job not in sports, and then I got into sports. It had always been like for me, I'd always had kind of like a 10-year plan of like, oh wow, like I'd love to work on this sport and that sport. And by then I might hit this title and I might do that. Some of those things didn't work out, right? Like I had a very linear kind of path in mind. And some of those things didn't work out, right? The promotions didn't come when I expected them to. I thought if I put my head down and I worked hard, it would for sure come. And sometimes it didn't. But the truth of the matter is sometimes it exceeded my expectations. Like recently, I had the opportunity where one of my colleagues was promoted, and I was then told, "Hey, by the way, you're going to be the second lead on Women's World Cup." This is something I did not expect, and I was like, "Wait, are you kidding? That is the dream." I literally wrote this down like 10 years ago as the dream. So that was one amazing surprise that happened, right? So there's highs and lows in the field, but truthfully, at the end of the day, as soon as you get your first kind of step into the door and really determine that this is the field for you, it really is the place to be. It really is, no matter what you're doing, from the mundane to the really cool. At the end of the day, it all ties back to something that we believe in, something that we actually care about. And there's very few industries I feel like I could work in medicine, and I don't, no disrespect to that, but like some people might not have any interest in medicine. I have friends who are working in real estate. They don't care about real estate. But for sports, you can't really fake it. This is the one industry where you can't fake it. You can't be like a guy who's just like, I'm just going to my job in sports, like, whatever. When I look at my colleagues, they're the people who are watching like every single MLB game. They're watching the Super Bowl. They're watching this. They're watching that. It's because it's not because we're getting paid to do it. It's because it's what we actually like to do. It's what we have interest in outside, and we just happen to turn it into a career, which is super cool. So, yeah, my advice for kids is just, I think if you think this is the field for you, you love sports, grew up watching it, or even later you're just like, you know what, I've always had an interest in it. There, I think, for all the downsides and bads and this and that any industry has, there's just so many positives and there's so many upsides. And really, by doing things like coming to the sports incubator, you are 10 steps ahead of all your other peers who, they might not figure this out until a little bit later. So kudos to people like you, Ethan, who are just really getting out there, doing, I know it's hard to cold call, cold LinkedIn message and all that good stuff, but it'll all pay off. It really will.
Definitely, definitely. And kudos to you also for such a amazing long-winded answer. It's really awesome to learn from somebody in a position of success in the sports industry. And I love the time and energy you put into giving back to somebody like myself, who's that student's perspective, who wants to get into the industry, but maybe feels a little nervous or a little anxious about trying to reach out or want to be respectful of the time of these busy people. But I'm here to say, like, as a student who's tried to get these interviews and learn from the people who are like leading the industry, it's a full circle, and they want to help you as much as you want to be helped. And then maybe one day, if you make it big, you can give back that time and energy and help the next generation of people. And since sports is such a collaborative industry that's transferable throughout the teams, throughout the agencies, and all that. Even though it is lucrative, a lot of the jobs do come from networking. So I would
Mm-hmm.
really encourage you guys to try and get your foot out there, take a shot in the dark, and you can have a really good connection like me and Nadia just had.
Awesome. Couldn't have said it better, Ethan.